Hey closers, in this video we're going to talk about the Go Live plan, what it is, why do you need it, and how to use it. So first let's talk about what it is. Well, the Go Live plan is a document that is used by sellers in order to more diligently manage the closing stages of their deals. It's a way of documenting the stages of the decision process and the paper process in a way that can be collaborated upon with your customers. Now, a lot of experienced salespeople at this point will be saying, well, isn't that just a close plan? And well, it kind of is, but I have a problem with the close plan. You see, a close plan by its very definition is for salespeople. It's not for buyers. It's not for customers. It's focused on getting the deal closed, and no customer ever likes to be closed. So let's take a look at a close plan now. Now this is a real close plan from a real deal. Now obviously I've taken off company names and changed names of stakeholders involved, mostly just to protect their reputations. So let's take a look. Okay, as we discussed, we're going to take a look at a real close plan. This close plan is from a real deal. The only thing I've changed is obviously to take company names and financial information and people's names off of it. This deal actually closed. Not only did it close, it was a multi-million-dollar deal, and it happened to be the biggest deal that the company in question had ever done. So it was a very, very big deal, obviously a big lump on the forecast and a lot of attention being given to it. And you might be wondering, Andy, I thought you were about to show us why closed plans aren't a good thing. But if the deal closed, then what's the problem? Well, the problem is this deal slipped 2 quarters from first being forecasted to when it was actually closed. Now, I'll give some sort of a little bit of credit there because of the size of the deal that it was going to take longer to close. But the point was you should not forecast it until you know when it's going to close, and having a good solid understanding of the decision process and the paper process is part of that, and having a good road to getting everything signed and sealed is a good part of that. So let's dig in. So fairly straightforward, cover here, information on it, nothing really to see. The first thing you'll notice is that this is a document intended for internal purposes. There's nothing really here that the customer's going to want to read. There's nothing in this text here that would say to the customer, this is what we think of you. This is what we think we can bring to the table. So this is, first glance, straight away, an internal document. You can see that here with the internal titles that people are using, opportunity and relationship owner. You wouldn't tell the customer that you're their opportunity owner, I don't think. And likewise, you can see here, you've got Salesforce opportunity link. So the link for the actual opportunity here in the document. And this is not really to do with the closed plan, but it points to a bigger challenge, I think, which is that there's now these bullets here, which I guess point to the background of why they're engaged in this opportunity, but they really, really fail any kind of test of what I would call proficient elite enterprise selling, which is that these bullet points here improve this, improve that. I like to do the so what test. You're going to improve the website performance. So what? How are you going to do that? What's the way you do it? How do you do it? How do you do it better? How are you going to measure those things? All those kind of things is what will differentiate yourself in this situation. And I know this is an internal document, but even still, you can tell by the way that this person's talking about it internally that they're not giving that and as an external. And likewise, you can see you have alarm bells in here. Budget timelines is for a whole quarter, which doesn't necessarily make sense to me. Budget identified, yes, as if that's sort of some sort of binary thing for a multi-million-dollar deal that is just some sort of budget sat there waiting to be pinched for it. And then a close date of a quarter. Again, all pretty vague at this point. Compelling event. I'm not going to dig into this, but I've read through it. There is no compelling event here. These are just some things that are going to happen, kickoffs and stuff, but they're not compelling events. And I think I'm not just going to beat up on this salesperson, but it's just to highlight that if this was a go live plan, you wouldn't be able to look at it and say there's any compelling events on here. It's very straightforward, and the customer would call that out. Why would the slip procurement bring some problems, or data security? Again, you've not really thought them through. Whereas if this was a collaborative document working with your customer, you could actually put some more detail. You'd have to put some more detail on that. You wouldn't just be able to put it in there.
think you are not doing a very good job. This is this is kind of an internal. I guess this is supposed to be the economic buyer, I guess, and maybe the champion. But kind of you can see what music he's into. I think is what's behind that YouTube link, and that he like good food. Good. And these are some of the stakeholders. This is quite good. This is good. Yeah, I would say as a deal this size, there's going to be more than just this amount of stakeholders, but it's a good start to actually see who reports where. But you'd want a lot more detail on this, especially for the internal side of things. Yeah, pretty straightforward. This is why we'd win. Well, these are just the products, actually, the product names, why you'd win, and why, threats, objections. Again, you can kind of lift those and put those on any single deal, and budget isn't really a threat or objection. That just means you haven't done your job as a salesperson. Anyway, this is not about beating up on the salesperson. It's just an example of where the shortfalls of a closed plan arrive. Opportunity timeline. This is cool. This is quite good. This is kind of calling out the dates ahead and as it's planned. But again, because this is only an internal document, the customer's not going to see this. So unless you're creating a customer version of this and sending it through to them, then you're going to come, this is pretty pointless. This is only just reporting up and satisfying your team internally that you know when things are going to happen. Now, even if this was to be a customer-facing document, it still doesn't solve a big problem, which is this is only like a point-in-time reflection of the opportunity timeline. So if you were to make this customer-friendly and send it to your customer, they would look at it, digest it, make you some feedback, send it back. That's that. So yeah, it's not a collaborative document. It's not a live document. It's not going to do very much to help you sell. And then likewise, the next steps. Again, just like I said on the slide before, useful to call them out, but in terms of actually getting consensus, buy-in, support from the customer on these things, unless you send this through to them and then kind of ask them explicitly, can you help me with these things by these dates? They're probably just going to read them and push them to the side, whereas the go live plan would make them accountable to this. So you're probably looking at this thinking this is not a great closed plan. I'm sure there's better examples, but those fundamental issues still lie, that even if you do make it customer facing in a document like this, if they see it as a closed plan, they're going to feel unhappy about it. If they even if they take note of any next steps or things that you want them to do, it's not a live document. It's not a collaborative document. You can't jump in there together and add comments and things together. So it falls and fails for those reasons. Let's get back to talking about go live plans.
So as you can see from that example, that straight out of the gates, the closed plan already has the customer on the back foot if they want it to be anything other than a one-sided internal document to figure out the path to signature. Even if you do share it with the customer, the goals are not going to be aligned. As salespeople, we're all aiming to get the signature so we can get the deal closed. But for our customers, that is likely to only be the halfway point of what they think the process is. They'll be thinking about implementation, rollout, training, adoption, and therefore the earliest likely end date they will have in mind will be the go live date. Hence why I built the Go Live plan and have been using it successfully as a seller and sales leader for the last 6 years. But the difference isn't only in the name and the end goal. There is one other major difference between the Go Live plan and a closed plan, and that is that the Go Live plan is designed to be totally collaborative with your customer. Basically, you share the document with your customer and work on it with them in real time as the deal develops and evolves towards the end goal. So now you know what the Go Live plan is, let's answer why you need it. Well, enterprise and complex sales are hard. Not only the selling side of things, but in many cases, once your solution is the preferred solution, only then does the really hard work start. There are likely to be a whole raft of different levels of authorizations and approvals and different things required by different stakeholders at different times of different dependencies. And that's before you even reach the doors of procurement and legal. And then once you're there, you can lose weeks and sometimes months if you're not in control of the process. The Go Live plan allows elite sellers to work with their champion to map out the entire process towards going live. I've seen a seller open up a blank go-live plan at the end of a first meeting that went well to start mapping out the pathway to getting the solution live. But most typically, it tends to come into play when a seller reaches the point where they are the vendor of choice and need to transition from selling to closing. The Go Live plan is going to help you clarify all of the steps that lie ahead with your champion. What are the dependencies and stakeholders for each step ahead? What can you do now that will save you time later on? What happens next after this stage, etc., etc., etc. Only when you have a clear pathway to the signature are you able to accurately forecast your deal. And until that point, you're playing just a guessing game, and it's unlikely that the leadership within your company will be very happy to accept the credibility of your forecast. The other thing to keep in mind is that the closing process is rarely a linear process. It is rare that everything will go to plan and that other stakeholders or unexpected levels of authorization won't come up. Therefore, having a go-live plan that is a live document that both you, your champion, and stakeholders from both sides are using is going to be crucial. Let's jump into the document and we can talk a little bit about how each section works. Okay, so the first thing you're going to notice with the Go Live plan is that it's built inside of Google Documents. And that is favorable because how flexible, how widely adopted, and how easy to share Google Documents is. The actual within the package of the Go Live plan, it's also got a template in there for Microsoft Word, Notion, and Evernote as well. So you have the other options of different formats, but I would definitely say that Google Docs is the preferred medium to use. So this is a blank Go Live document. We've got a blank one and a sample one here that we're going to both look at. Let's start by just looking through the different sections so you can kind of see what's involved here. So at the top, you've got your information about the deal, a summary section, a section to put links in, and then the who's involved from both sides of the deal. Then you've got the kind of steps of each step of the Go Live plan, and then any compelling events and Q&A at the bottom. So first thing to do when you get a Go Live plan, before sharing with the customers, you want to build it up to a certain level of completeness so that when you share it, it kind of tells the story to the customer. Even if you do brief them on what it is, they can kind of look at it and get a really good grasp very, very quickly of what it is. So the first thing I like to do is put a customer logo at the top, their customer logo at the top. And actually what you can do as well, if you want to take it to a couple of stages further, is to personalize the document to be in their company's branded colors. So as you can see, MEDDICC's colors are kind of this light green, and so it matches here. But if we switch over to the example document we've got here, which is for Hooli, you can see that actually we've changed the colors in this case to match by Piper. But if we wanted to match Hooli, we would use that light blue color. And the benefit of using the company's colors who you're selling to is that as it starts to get shared internally across different stakeholders, they'll start to assume that it's actually an internal document, not the vendor document, which is obviously going to increase the likelihood of it being adopted. So let's stick with this example document for the time being. So you can see, you update, there's a number of sections on this bit that will be highlighted that you would need to update, put your company name, your customer's name, that kind of goes without saying. The first thing is at the top, keeping it up to date. If you keep the date of how it's been updated. Sometimes I've seen you put like a version number on there as well, but it's important you keep it up to date because you want to keep the impression going that this is a live document, that every time there's a change, someone has to update it at the top here. So when it was last updated and who by is important. Then lots of self-explanatory stuff here, like who the company name is you're selling to, what the target contractual signing date is. I think this is an important one because this is not a space you want to leave blank. You want to fill this in as soon as possible. If you don't know what it is, well, it's a pretty important action point for your forecast to find out what the target date is you're going to get this signed. And actually filling out the Go Live plan will help you see if there's actually a feasible date that you can all aim for. Target go live date as well, hypothetically speaking, if you sign on this date based on our current resources and the complexity of your implementation should be this date. It's just nice to get those dates front of mind. It also will help you keep the momentum moving as you move towards those dates. As time starts to run out, it will put urgency into the process, which I think is very, very important.
So you can put the solution proposed here, because, remember, in an ideal world, this document will be shared much further than just the people who you're directly selling to. So having a good explanation of what the solution is, and that's where the summary comes in as well, is going to really help the adoption and understanding of what this document stands for. We'll come back to the summary in a second, but having the software licenses, or whatever the solution metric is of cost here, I think is important. Now, if you don't know what it is, I always prefer to put a hypothetical figure in here, and obviously the higher the better, because that's where it will start the price condition the customer. Now, if they do question you on, what is this big figure, what is this big number in here, you can say, well, I don't know actually, we haven't figured out what the cost will be yet, but that is, that's just a placeholder. Don't take too much notice of it, but it will stick in their mind. It's price conditioning. So the brief summary, this is an important box because it's a chance for you to kind of summarize the deal, but from your perspective. So you will definitely want to highlight the pains that you've implicated in this section. You want to underpin all of what you put in here with metrics, which would be the metrics 2 of the solution. Next bit, the important resources. You can see like a shared folder here, if you've got like a Drive or a Dropbox or a Box account where you're putting all the documents in, or maybe like a landing page somewhere that you can point to. And likewise, you can put in, like previous presentations you've made, or data samples, or, your responses to their security survey, whatever it is. What it does is it makes it nice and easy to find those documents. And it means that if you start to create the Go Live plan to be a place, almost like a base camp, like a project management tool, to where people come back to when they need something, instead of having to search through emails. And what it will do is it will just increase the stickiness of this document, it'll increase the traction of how it's used, and it will have a by proxy event of actually helping people to update other parts of it as you go. So here you can see the Pied Piper team, which is the vendor team. This is your sales team. You can put their details in there, their titles, their contact details, all that kind of thing. I quite like to sometimes put it in here. You put in like the initials of the person, so that when you get down to the owner, you can have it being a bit more specific if there's more than one. And then the customer team here, and again, put in people in here, and start to fill this out with your champion to make sure you've thought about all the different people that will be stakeholders, really getting them to think about if there's anyone else that will be involved in this decision process that you've not included. Next bit's pretty much the most important bit of it all. So this is the actual planned steps that lie ahead. Now, one thing I think is really, really cool to do here is, even if you're 6 months into a deal and you're creating the Go Live plan, I think it's really, really, really cool to actually backdate a little bit about the information you're putting in here. So for example, you're 6 months in, your first meeting happened 6 months ago. I would still put the date of that initial meeting in. It shows that the amount of investment from both sides has been considerable. And it will just remind people looking at this, even if they're new to the engagement, they're new to you, it will remind them that other people in their organization have spent a lot of time to get to this point, and therefore it will just add the credibility to what you're doing. And it will also just provide a nice timeline and a nice sort of way of reminding people what's gone in. So I would put, not necessarily every meeting you've had, especially if you had a lot, but I would put important sort of milestones here, RFP presentation date that you're awarded, vendor choice, or whatever those things are. Put them in here. And it's important that you put who is kind of the owner, the dependent person of it, who's the person responsible for this action, when the action has to be completed by, and the status of it. And then this is where Google Docs really comes into its own, because you can tag people. So in this case here, you can see on the example, we've tagged Sarah here and asked her if she can confirm the technical validation as per our discussion earlier today. So this is a really cool way of using Google's documents tools to embrace the Go Live plan. In this case, Sarah at Hooli would have got an email through, and when she opens that email, she can either respond in the email, or ideally she's going to open up this document and see the other things inside of it. So very, very good. Now, one thing that you'll notice is the Go Live plan, the Go Live date is here, and there's a couple more dates on here. Now, I have been doing, as I said before, Go Live plans for over 6 years now. I've never once used the Go Live plan further than the signature. Normally, I work for an organization who has an implementation process, a whole load of much, much better ways of managing implementation than what the go live plan could ever do. But the point is, it's just keeping that go live date in mind, keeping it prominent in the minds of everyone, especially if there's a compelling event around it. And then once you get to actually having the contract signed, people don't really go back to the go live plan again. But I like to have the dates on there for those two reasons. First, it aligns everybody's focus on going live, not just closing, which is only interesting to the salesperson. But it also keeps the pressure on for those dates, for those important dates that lie ahead. So having those on I think is very, very important. Likewise, you can make some of these stages dependent of each other. So you can have sort of 9A, 9B if there's a dependency on each stage. Then we get into the compelling events risks. So you can call out anything that may be a compelling or important event. So an example of this could be a board meeting that's coming up. And if we miss that board meeting, then it's going to throw out all of the dates to get everything signed and so on. Another example could be if you're replacing another solution, there might be a renewal date in place. It's worth calling that out in here that, if you don't get everything wrapped up ahead of that renewal date, they might have to renew with the solution that they're trying to replace. This next bit here is Q&A. So this is a really, really good tool when utilized well. What it is throughout an enterprise or complex sale, there are no doubt going to be tens and tens, if not hundreds, of questions that you are asked as the salesperson, the sales engineer, solution consultant, security, all number of different people are going to be asked. And those questions generally come up in meetings, they come up in emails, they might even come up in the WhatsApp messages and text messages. And what this does is this is a place to capture the Q&A. And so the idea is if you get asked something in a meeting or if you get asked something in an email or anywhere else, you put the question into the go live plan and then you tag the person to answer it inside of the go live plan, and then tag the person who's asked the question so they can see the answer. The beauty of this is two things. First, it creates a database, if you like, of Q&A, because quite often if you ask a question and you hear the answer, you might not remember the answer and you might want to come back to it again in the future or show it to somebody else if you've got the answer. It's a bit more technical, as it often will be. So that's the first reason. The second reason is it's just another way of making the go live plan a little bit more valuable to your customer. It's another reason for them to open it up to find a queue, to ask a question or to find an answer. And while they're there, they might remind themselves that actually they need to chase something up, or they need to action something, or that there might be something that's fallen behind. So it really, really allows you to not just make this a closed plan, not just about getting a signature, but a very collaborative document that's going to help you move your deal towards success, towards getting live and all those good things. So I hope you liked this video. I hope you enjoyed the insights that it's given. And I really hope that you invest in the Go Live plan, because I think that it's, as someone that's been using it for a number of years and kind of came up with it because I was frustrated with the rigidness and one-sidedness of closed plans themselves, I think this is the perfect medium to manage the decision process and pay process. Thank you very much for listening, and may your champions be strong.